Good afternoon, everybody. This is Coach D Powerhouse, back at it again, live, one time for your mind, for the Coach D Fighting His Life podcast. The subject today we're going to talk about is accountability, self-accountability, that is. Everybody needs accountability for themselves. I believe that this is what most people, or a lot of people, I should say, in the world lacks. And this is why people don't grow. This is why people don't get better. This is why people don't thrive. It's because they lack this very thing. This is a very strong thing, and I believe it's the biggest weapon that mankind can have if they can tap into it and use it right. Self-accountability. It's pretty self-explanatory, meaning look in the mirror, look at yourself, correct yourself, and that's it. Bottom line, look at yourself, correct yourself. Look in the mirror, look in your spirit, look in your soul, correct your mind, and these are the things that will help you become a better human being in this world that we have today. I'll tell you a short, quick story. When I was 14 years old, I was getting in trouble a lot in school. And my mom, she had some teachers calling her about my behavior and about some things that I was doing. And my mom had confronted me about what was going on. And she was like, well, the teachers are saying you're doing this, and the teachers are saying you're doing that. And I was like, well, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. It's not me, Mom. It's not me. And she said something to me that stuck with me from that day forward. It's weird how certain things stick. She said, Durwyn, if everybody is saying the same thing about you, then it can't be everybody. Then it has to be you. And what's weird is I didn't understand it at the time, but it stuck with me for all these years. In my 40s, that saying stuck with me to this day. And so that goes on, leading on to the subject that I want to talk about. Everybody's not the victim. You're not always the victim. And that's the first thing that we got to get out the way. Everybody in this life has endured some kind of pain or hurt, some way, form, or fashion. We all have. But I'll say this also too, we also have hurt people in some form, way, or fashion. And the moment you realize that you're not perfect and everybody around you, you cannot change, and the only person you can change is yourself, then this is when the true change begins, and this is where the healing process begins. This is a very, very, very strong thing, man, because what I see in this world is this is why we have so many fights, so many arguments, so many pointless debates, is because everybody's so quick to get their point across. Everybody's so quick to talk and be heard, but not listen. Biggest problem with this world. People don't want to listen. All they want to do is talk. Well, self-accountability will help you with these things. When you go home at night, you are to look in the mirror. You are to look in your soul. You are to look in your spirit and look into your mind and seeing how you can change. Because you can't change everybody else. The only person you're responsible for changing is yourself. I don't care what nobody did to you. You can't change them. You can change yourself. You can change your reaction to it, but at the end of the day, you have to change yourself. And this is why people in this world can't figure out why things keep happening to them, why stuff in life keeps going bad for them. Well, a lot of it is because we don't want to look at the man or woman in the mirror. You have to do that. And let me share this with you. You're going to have to do that whether you want to or not. Eventually, you are going to have to face yourself. That's the person that you deal with every day. That person you wake up to in the morning is you. That person you go to sleep at night is you. So who has to deal with that person? You do. You know, and I see this as a big thing. Prideful people. Pride. Let me share you about that word. I know people use that word a lot as a good thing, but I can share it to you that it's not always a good thing. You know, because, and for the most part, I don't believe it's a good thing at all. I don't believe pride is a good thing. I believe dignity is a good thing. That's two different worlds. Pride is when a person becomes blind to themselves, when they cannot see the way they treat others. They can't see the way they act towards others. That's what I believe. That's why I believe pride is such a bad thing. If you change yourself, and you look at yourself truly, and I mean, let me share this with you. I mean truly, not just, oh, I know I did wrong. Well, heck, we all know we did wrong. Everybody knows they do wrong. But to know is not enough. It's what Bruce Lee said. He said, knowing is not enough, you must apply. And if you don't apply what you know, then it doesn't do no good. Wisdom preserves you. Understanding keeps you. So having understanding of who you are is what makes you start that change. All you have to do is want to be better. Once you want to be better, then you make the steps to be better. You change to be better. There are so many people, man, you will not believe it. So many people that just don't want to do that. Because sometimes looking at yourself in the mirror is such a hard thing to do. It's such a very hard thing to do, especially when you have pride, especially when you believe that you're not wrong and that you're right. Well, I can assure you, everybody in this world has been wrong. Everybody in this world has not been right at some point. But I want to share this with you. You changing has something to do with you. It has nothing to do with anybody else in this world. And until you decide that you look in the mirror and you right your wrongs, then you won't be successful. You won't thrive. You won't thrive spiritually, financially. And sometimes it's a trick, because although you think you're going through life and everything's okay and everything's all right, that's going to be a time when that moment comes, when it's all going to come crashing down on you if you don't take a step back and look at yourself. So I realize that sometimes people have to step outside themselves to look at themselves. Sometimes you have to step outside yourself to look at yourself, so that way you can truly see yourself. You know, sometimes we don't want to hear people's opinions or thoughts about us. But sometimes those are the things that help us. Sometimes hearing the things that hurt you about yourself is the things that will help yourself. And until you're able to do that, you cannot be a successful human being walking on this earth. See, the mind is a very powerful thing. The mind can either be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy. When you truly can look deep inside your soul and spirit and can tell yourself, I wasn't right today. I didn't do that right today. You know, I said something that I shouldn't have said today. I treated that person wrong today, and I shouldn't have done that. When you can truly do that, then that's when life changes. But how many people are willing to do that? It's not very many. It's not very many. One of the greatest feelings in this world is to sit down and look at Coach Durwyn Lamb and say, hey man, you could have did this better today. Or you could have worded that better. Hey, you hurt that person's feelings today. You should be sorry for that. You didn't treat this person right. You didn't say the right words to this person. When you can see that in yourself and you can talk to yourself like that, that's when the healing process begins. None of us are, we all have been victims at some point, but we all have done things to hurt people. But the number one thing is, this is a fact. This is not even an opinion. This is a fact. If you don't change yourself, if you don't give yourself self-accountability, if you don't look at yourself, if you keep having self-righteous in your soul, victim in your soul, you will not grow. Now, sir, some other things that I've said, maybe it could be opinions. Who knows? But what I said right now, that's a fact. If you don't look at yourself, if you don't correct yourself, you would not become the best human being that you could be. And the object of this life is to reach who you are and the potential of the person that you can be at its highest level. And the only way you can do that is knowing oneself. You know? And let me share this part with you. This is not a once in a while thing. This is not a every other day thing. This is a everyday thing. A every minute, every second, every hour of everyday thing. And the more you practice, the more you get better. Because we understand this, that although practice doesn't make permanent, although that practice don't make perfect, practice makes permanent. And you'll get on this spiritual cycle to where when you start doing this, it becomes second nature. It becomes you. It becomes who you are. It becomes who you are in your spirit. It becomes who you are in your soul. It becomes who you are in your mind. And it's the most pleasant thing in the world, because the worst place a human being can be is blind to oneself. When you know who you are and you know how to correct yourself and you make those steps to correct yourself, then that's when you become a better person. Forgiveness. Always ask for forgiveness. Always repent. Always forgive. So that's another thing. If you don't forgive, you can't be a better person either. Keep looking at that man and that woman in the mirror, and your life will excel past things that you could ever imagine. That's my segment for accountability. Coach D, back at it again live, one time for your mind, and we out.